When is this victimhood card ever going to end? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Welcome to the channel. And in today's video, I want to do a reaction to a small part of an interview that went down at the Breakfast Club with Kevin Liles. Now, Kevin Liles is one of the people that gave Migos the opportunity that they got, that made them become, you know, the big stars that they are today. Now, Kevin Liles is a record executive, and you know, he's highly worth a lot, and is a black voice, I'll put it that way. So there are a few things that he said that I agree with. There are a few things that he said that I disagree with, that I just wanted to share here in a very, very concise part of the interview. So I'm going to be doing a reaction to, I think, about a minute long aspect of the interview that actually I feel like he summed up everything he said in the entire interview in this 1 minute. So without further ado, we're going to be jumping in. But before we do, I want to quickly remind you guys that you are watching Science Domain, and this is where we talk a lot about politics, the culture war, as well as the entertainment industry, because you and I both know that the entertainment industry is driven with a lot of politics. And if you're yet to do so, I would like to urge you guys to smash the like button down below. It's massively important. And if you're new, please do consider subscribing as well. Now, without further ado, again, let's jump into this reaction thing now, shall we?
To your point, there's so many socioeconomic conditions that, you know, just lead to crime or lead to putting people in that state of mind where something like that can happen. But, you know, a lot of people feel like the hip-hop, the music, you know, has either become or always been a deaf lifestyle. What do you say to that?
I live it. And I haven't killed anybody, and I consume more hip hop and party hip hop than most people.
Well, to an extent, I kind of agree that hip hop directly isn't what's causing this whole issue. Although you got to question that, you know, a lot of hip hop artists have died. Like I mentioned in my last video when I was talking about the unfortunate thing that happened to Takeoff, I did mention that 60 rappers have died since 1987. 60 rappers. That's compared to maybe no other musical genre at all that anyone has died. So even though we can't directly blame hip hop, which I agree with him, well, I don't know if hip hop is partially a factor, because it does kind of like glamorize these sort of things that led to the death of, you know, Takeoff.
But I will tell you that there's an issue that it's black on black.
So he's saying that there's an issue, but he fails to mention what that issue is. And it's very simple. I did highlight this issue in my last video as well. I believe that it is culture. It's a cultural issue that black people has adopted. It is not synonymous to the black community. I'm going to say this because people would think I'm trying to single out the black community, but it is highly prevalent in the black community. It's not synonymous to it. Other communities do this, and it's very synonymous to low-income communities as well, you know, that competitive nature and all that. But the culture that black people have, you know, adopted or is highly prevalent is also being glamorized in the black community using hip-hop. So these are things that he's trying not to say, because he's trying not to stir the pot, in my own opinion. In my own opinion, how I see it, that's why he's very careful and selective about the words that he's about to say.
Crime, because we were taught to be against each other. I had to be better than you. I had to do more than you. That's not just hip hop. That's what we've been taught in an oppressive country. That.
So here's another thing. I agree with him that yes, black people have that mentality to be very competitive. Like I said in my previous video as well, I've always said that black community, when it comes to social things, we are very community based. When it comes to partying, getting together, for that, we're very community based. When somebody dies, we can rally and we can be a community to defend somebody's honor. But when it comes to social economic things, when it comes to money, we are very competitive against each other. We're so competitive. We don't help each other. We don't network. That's why you find one of these outliers here and there who are rich people like himself, you know, like Charlemagne the God, like, you know, the Oprah Winfrey's and all these other hosts of names, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and the rest of them. But you're not going to see an entire community community rise up. But that wasn't how it was before, during the time of Wall Street, during the 1920s to the 1960s, before the civil rights era. It wasn't like that. So this is something that black people kind of fell back to once they were given, the free hand to pretty much do what you wanted to do, because we're back, or we reverse backwards socioeconomically after the civil rights era. Go check it out, go look it up and see what's happening, because it's very similar in Africa as well. This is how we are. So he said we were taught, and he never ever mentioned who taught us. I think it's just a nature and something that we need to address for ourselves. And then he said living in an oppressive country. I don't think these people know what the definition of oppression is, or real oppression. There are African countries that people are facing oppression from real African leaders. There are Asian countries that people are facing real oppression from Asian leaders. You all need to listen to Yao Ming Park and listen to how she talks about her escaping North Korea. That will give you an idea of what real oppression is. But this guy who's living in this so-called oppressive country is worth $60 million. The guy sitting next to him, Charlemagne the God, has a net worth of $10 million. DJ Envy and Angela Yee, each one of them have a net worth of $7 million. And they say they live in an oppressive country. A combined net worth of what do you call it? $80 million sitting down in a podcast. And these guys are paid to talk. And this other guy who's worth 60 million is paid to sell records. Tell me what other country in the world can a black person be worth $60 million for selling records? Tell me, what other country in the world? Just mention it. I'll be listening. And then you're telling me that they are oppressed. No, you have the ability to achieve what you want to achieve. However, what pains me is that these black voices continue to push this oppressive touting this old oppressive rhetoric. So if you're oppressed now, when are you going to be free? What would freedom look like? Let's continue.
Things that we shouldn't value life like it's meant to be valued. And for those of us, we're black, white, green, purple, whatever color, that believe that music kills. No, gun kills. Lack of education kills. Racism kills. White supremacy kills.
So this is one of the things again. Now he said guns kill, lack of education kill, racism kills, white supremacy kills. So this is what I want to address. This is the real part that I wanted to address. It is, albeit kind of second nature to many of these black voices, to always blame racism and white supremacy, even when what happened doesn't involve racism and white supremacy. I did mention that 60 rappers have already been killed, right? 60 rappers. None of those rappers have been found to have been killed by a white man. They've been killed by fellow black people. So I don't know where the racism comes in here. Now, him touting white supremacy, a lot of black people, whether it be Harriet Tubman, whether it be Du Bois, whether it be the civil rights movement era, the Joe Lewis's, Martin Luther King's, the names that they've all defeated white supremacy. Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, they've all defeated white supremacy when they were faced with abject white supremacy. They were faced with abject white supremacy, yet they defeated white supremacy. However, we're still touting white supremacy today, even though it doesn't hold much power. Black Wall Street defeated white supremacy. They were succeeding. Black Wall Street was thriving in the face of abject white supremacy. Today, white supremacy isn't anywhere to be found because the people that are perpetrators of white supremacy are coward. And the only way they can make white supremacy thrive is in the mindset of black people. So he is touting that mindset. Now, when it comes to the other things that he said guns kill people. Now, there was somebody else, one of you guys, who also said and made this argument and said guns kill people. Well, I'll have you know that in England, in a place like London, they do not have guns. Like, guns were taken away, of course. So in England, they have a lot of stabbings. Like every year in London alone, they have up to about 11,000 stabbings. And in England as a whole, they get about 45,000 stabbings every year. There are about 10 deaths from stabbing every day in England, every single day, about 10 deaths or more. So think about this. If you take guns away, people are still going to do things. So I do agree with him when he says people kill people, but guns themselves don't kill people. Then he also said lack of education. I absolutely agree with him. The educational system is actually seriously flawed. It's rigged somehow. And people like this need to be, be helping with how to improve education, even if it's just about talking about how to improve education and, promote education, particularly financial literacy in the Black community, rather than trying to push for and fight for things like, critical race theory that's not going to help anybody. They keep on fighting for those sort of things to be more apparent in schools rather than fight for good quality education, critical thinking, teaching children how to actually be, what do I call it now, educated rather than illiterate, teaching them how to be able to sustain, understand things, teaching them how to be able to read and write, be able to learn about contracts, be able to know how to invest in stocks, financial literacy, and all those sort of stuff. These are the kind of things that they should be glamorizing and promoting amongst the Black community. However, we are hearing many Black voices touting all of those things that I mentioned as white supremacy. And this is one of the problems that we're facing as Black people. Black people are facing, particularly in America and many of the Western countries, because of these sort of talks that these Black leaders who already know the solution, like I said, once again, he's worth $60 million, know the solution, but they are not saying that solution to other people. Rather, they would rather tout this whole white supremacy thing at people.
Those are the things. And I don't believe hip hop kills people. I believe people kill people.
And hip hop.
So, yeah, I'm going to end here because I don't want this video to be way too long. It's kind of long as it were. So I will say this. Him continue to say that, hip hop doesn't kill people. I understand that. But it does glamorize these things that are leading to people's death. And we do have a community where there is a serious issue that needs to be discussed. And it is the culture. It's the American culture that you need to discuss. It is a culture that is, very, very apparent amongst the Black community. So I wouldn't say it's a Black culture. I would say it's the culture in America that needs to be addressed. And it's not just about the gun culture, because there are countries that they do have guns and they don't have as much shootings as America does. So these things are things that we need to talk about, that, maybe find an appropriate solution to. But white supremacy ain't it, in my opinion. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, ding that bell for notification, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care, peace, and Sias out of here. Bye.